The United Kingdom has once again rolled out the royal treatment for Donald Trump, making him the very first American president in history to be honored with not one, but two official state visits. Trump and the First Lady, Melania, capped off the day with a grand banquet at Windsor Castle after an afternoon filled with pageantry, parades, and all the pomp Britain can offer. But while some greeted him with open arms, not everyone across the UK was thrilled to see him back. The opening day of Trump's latest trip to Britain looked like something out of a royal fairy tale: fine dining in Windsor Castle, formal speeches, and a chance to emphasize the supposedly unbreakable bond between the US and the UK. Trump himself described the connection as timeless, unshakable, and rooted in shared values of liberty and independence. Earlier that same day, the President and First Lady were personally welcomed by Prince William, the Princess of Wales, King Charles, and Queen Camilla. Afterward, they climbed into a carriage and were escorted to the grand ceremony. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Officials say it was the most elaborate military reception for any visiting head of state in living memory, featuring around 120 horses and over 1,300 soldiers. The spectacle didn't end there. Trump also received a traditional flyover by the Red Arrows, the Royal Air Force's world-famous aerobatic squadron. But beyond the glittering ceremony, a very different story was unfolding in the streets of London. Thousands of demonstrators rallied against Trump's visit. Protesters criticized him for his controversial positions on Ukraine, Israel, and his past ties to the late Jeffrey Epstein. From the government's point of view, Britain needs to maintain close ties with Washington. With a struggling economy and a weakened military, the UK's greatest asset lies in its soft power. And Trump, more than most leaders, responds to pageantry, ceremony, and royal flattery. By embracing this strategy, Britain hopes to advance its interests not just with Trump, but across Europe, particularly in the face of challenges like Russian aggression. King Charles even highlighted Ukraine in his speech, underlining the seriousness of the moment. But does pomp and pageantry really influence Donald Trump? Alterman admitted no one truly knows. Some in Washington joke that Trump tends to agree with whoever spoke to him last. Still, he has always held a soft spot for Britain and the royal family. For him, ceremonies like this aren't just symbolic, they're personally meaningful. And for Britain, that makes them a powerful tool. As Alterman explained, this approach may not yield sweeping diplomatic breakthroughs, but it does open doors. The Prime Minister and the King can more easily reach Trump on sensitive issues, from Palestine to Ukraine, than most other world leaders ever could. So what about his upcoming meeting with Prime Minister Starmer? Analysts expect more progress on business and trade than on thornier foreign policy. Starmer is likely to press Trump on shrinking the differences between UK and US positions, even if some gaps on Gaza or Ukraine remain too wide to close. Another voice weighing in was Professor Natasha Lindstate of the University of Essex. She explained why Britain went out of its way to invite Trump again for such an elaborate reception. According to her, it all comes down to strategy. Trump thrives on attention and flattery, and unlike past presidents such as Obama or George W. Bush, who each received just one state visit, Trump requires more effort. The UK is banking on charm to ease negotiations on economic issues. They're eager to reduce tariffs on steel, pharmaceuticals, and other goods, while strengthening cooperation in artificial intelligence, nuclear energy, and green technology. In fact, new agreements and investments have already been announced, but Britain hopes for more. For them, this visit is about hard economics. For Trump, it's something else entirely. As Lindstate pointed out, this trip is deeply personal. Trump adored his first state visit in 2019 and relishes the red carpet, the royal traditions, and the military fanfare. His mother, who was born in Scotland, loved the monarchy, and Trump grew up with that fascination. For him, the royal connection isn't just political, it's sentimental. But while Trump basks in pageantry, much of the British public feels very differently. Across the UK, polls show a majority disapprove of him. Surveys indicate that around 60% of Britons believe Trump is harmful on the world stage. When asked about this second state visit, only about 40% supported it. His main backing comes from right-leaning groups like the Reform Party and some conservative voters. So once again, Britain finds itself split, leaders hoping to win Trump's favor through lavish ceremonies, while much of the public questions whether such honors are deserved. As the visit moves into its second day, with trade talks, political meetings, and even more demonstrations, one thing is certain: this extraordinary display of royal pageantry is about far more than tradition. For Trump, it's a victory lap. For Britain, it's a high-stakes gamble on diplomacy, economics, and the future of its relationship with the United States.